Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Keslar from Keslar Insurance, and I am here on behalf of the super fun project we're doing, Cheers for Charity New Hampshire. And I always get to do it with my dear friend JoAnn. Hey, JoAnn.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, I'm JoAnn Burchuk. I'm with Lighthouse Physical Therapy, and it is my great honor to introduce our next guest who, if you haven't heard of Gather in New Hampshire, they have more impact than any organization that I know of in our state. So, Anne, it is truly an honor to have you on our episode today. Please introduce yourself, and then with anybody who doesn't know Gather, please share what Gather does for our community.
Absolutely. So I'm Ann Hayes. I've been with Gather as its executive director for just a tiny bit over 3 months now. So I'm pretty new to this, but Gather's mission is to serve those in our community experiencing hunger in a couple of different ways, or many different ways. So we distribute fresh, healthy food to people who need it. And so we do that through our pantry market, which is right here in Portsmouth. We do it through mobile markets and our Meals for Kids program. Those are in contiguous areas. We have markets in Rochester, Seabrook, Portsmouth, and Kittery. And we work on those markets. They're set up like farmers markets, but anybody can come and the food is free. We run a Meals for Kids program when kids are out of school. So kids who are eligible for free and reduced price breakfast and lunch would have an opportunity to come and get with their families to come and get food to replace that when school's not in session. And we have several other interesting programs. I don't know if you want me to tell you all about that, or just suffice it to say right now that we are trying to work on food access and combat food insecurity here on the Seacoast.
That's great. And how many pantries do you guys have just in New Hampshire that people can come to?
So we have one pantry market here in Portsmouth that's a physical stationary place to come on 210 West Road in Portsmouth. And then our mobile markets sort of bring the pantry to you, basically. And those, I think we run about 11 or 12 a week of those. And so we're constantly 1 or 2 a day. And when we run bigger ones, it's just one. And sometimes we have smaller ones, and we're getting a mobile market bus that we can talk about, which will be able to serve smaller markets, and people can just go shop the bus, which is kind of fun.
That's awesome. So for me, my question is, I think a lot of people don't understand that food insecurity is a thing on the Seacoast. Like, so many people tend to think that we live in a very, successful, strong economy community, but there's still a lot of need. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. So the folks who come to our pantry and register with us, we serve about 8,000 to 9,000 people a month, and they can come to our pantry once a month, but they can go to our mobile markets whenever they need to. And the thing is with food insecurity, it's, before COVID, food insecurity in the United States, I think, was at 9 or 10% of people were food insecure. That meaning that they didn't have access to sufficient healthy food to live an active lifestyle, basically. So it's not just somebody who doesn't have any food, it's people who don't have access to healthy food. And, 1 in 10 families, that is not acceptable anyway, but in COVID, it really surged a lot. So in some places up to 25% or more, and it impacts seniors more, it impacts families with young children more. And you see people, sometimes it's people who have been doing fine, but then they have a health issue, and the cost of dealing with that sets them back, and they have problems with that, or they have other things that come up. I mean, life happens, right? So it's not as cut and dry as, everybody is, it's only people who can't find a job, or it's only this or that. It's really not. It can happen to people who you would not otherwise think it would happen to. And I think what we see is we expected to see the need go down after things worked through with COVID, and COVID became a little bit less of a threat. Actually, with inflation, we see probably 5 to 7 new families signing up every single week. And granted, some people are not coming as much, but it's still a growing need at this point because of inflation and food prices, energy prices, and so on.
Thank you.
How does somebody qualify?
Pardon?
How does somebody qualify?
We actually are a really low barrier pantry. We just ask that people register to come to our pantry. So they tell us who their name and where they're from and who they're shopping for. If they have a family, ages of kids is helpful for us in terms of sourcing more food. But we don't require income verification because we think that adds an additional barrier for people. And generally speaking, if you don't need a food pantry, you probably aren't going to come to a food pantry. So we assume that people who come need our services, and we try to provide them in a really welcoming and dignified way. So we have a free choice shopping experience. So people come in, they get a shopping cart, they shop the milk and eggs, the fresh produce, meat, fish, things like that. We've tried really hard to change what food pantry means. So it's not all dry goods and canned goods. We really have a great selection of food. And we do have some personal care items as well. Toothbrushes, toothpaste, soaps. Sometimes we had a donor who had been a volunteer here and had heard people talking about having trouble feeding their pets and sometimes sort of deciding where the food goes. And so she donated so we could buy pet food, which is amazing, so that we now provide dog and cat food as well. So that's, sometimes people are making choices that you don't want them to have to make.
Yeah, you don't think of that, right? But pets are truly part of people's family. Imagine the stress you're going through. The pets are such a gift, their family, their therapy, their love and support. And if you have to decide between feeding them and feeding yourself, right?
Yeah. So, and it's fun because sometimes somebody will donate to us and it gives us a start on something like that, but it also makes us connect with, the New Hampshire SPCA, and now they're donating some of the pet food too. So now we have a new way to access something. And, we have a dentist office around here who gives us, the toothbrushes and the little toothpaste, so that now we have a source for that. So sometimes when donors give us money to explore something, it helps us open up a new resource, which is great.
Amazing.
That is great.
Yeah.
And you guys do a lot of support for other food pantries in the area as well, too, don't you? Help?
Yes, we run what's called our the Food Providers Network. So we have a bunch of different organizations, smaller food pantries that we meet with regularly, and we try to source grants so that if they have a need, we can make these little mini grants. So if somebody needs a fridge or somebody, coolers and things so that they can take them out to a market, then we'll try and get some funds for them to do that. So that's been really good because we do have more resources than some of the smaller pantries. And we also have just a little bit more experience. I don't know if I mentioned this, but we've been around for over 200 years. We are, I believe I'm quoting this correctly, we are the oldest continuously operating nonprofit in the country. Started in 1816 by a group of women in Strawberry Bank to feed the families of fishermen. And over the years, things have really evolved. I'd love to tell you about one program that I think is really cool that we do called Cooking for Community. And at this point, we cook both at Great Bay Community College in their kitchen and at UNH in their food repurposing kitchen. And we take in food at UNH, it's the food from the cafeteria and from their catering program that would otherwise go to waste. And our team transforms that into soups or side dishes and full meals or desserts. And they transform it into that and package it up, and it gets sent down to our pantry. And we have a fridge in the front where people can come in every day if they want to and take up to 2 of these meals. So people who might be unhoused, seniors who might have trouble cooking, people like that can come and get, and they're really delicious, but it's food. So we're both taking food that would go to waste and saving that and making something really, really helpful for people. So it's great to have the access to those kitchens to do that. We have a lot of volunteers who come and cook with us. It's a really fun thing to do because you never know what you're going to be cooking from one day to the next because you don't know what you're going to get. And so it gets really creative as well. So that's really fun. And we also run the cafe at Great Bay Community College, which the meals for students. So you have to show a student ID, which is good incentive to get kids to go get their IDs. But if you show a student ID, you get food for half price. And we're open from 8 to 3. We have breakfast and lunch. They have breakfast burritos, and they do bowls and sandwiches and a hot meal every day. And we post that on our social media, what the menu is for the week for the hot meals. And so your average person comes in and gets a really reasonably priced meal, and the students get it for the cost of the ingredients, basically.
Fantastic.
It's a great partnership with them. They've been amazing. So
what's the one thing, if people are watching, that they could do to support Gather? Is it donations? Is it volunteering? Is it certain things? What's your ask?
Yes, yes, yes. Can I say yes to all of it?
Yes, you can.
We like to think of it as donating time. We're volunteering. We have a great volunteer coordinator here. We have lots of opportunities, working in the pantry, working in the kitchen, going and gleaning from local farms, helping us harvest fresh vegetables so we can send that out to folks. We have a lot of different choices of things that people can do. So on our website, which is gathernh.org, they can go to the volunteer part and sign up, which would be great. Donating funds is amazing because we have some great ways to access food for really reasonable prices if we have to purchase it. So that's really helpful. And hosting a food drive is actually a really great way to do it too, because it also raises awareness. So that's something that we really enjoy. And definitely, once you get past Thanksgiving and Christmas, people, think everything's fine now. January through March is a beautiful time to come and volunteer, to host a food drive, because things really do slow down in terms of stuff coming in, and people don't have any different need during the rest of the year. And then just spreading the word, telling people about us, come and have a tour, bring your friends. We'd be happy to have people come and see what we do. And, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. And we just love to connect with more people in the Seacoast so they can see what we do.
That's fantastic. I know, I'm soaking it all in. It's all great stuff. One little last question for me is, this is usually a great JoAnn question. If a lot of times when you're experiencing, these kinds of nonprofits, you're working in them, you're doing things, there's always that story that really touches you. There's probably 1,000 of them, right? But does anything really strike you as sort of indicative of the typical Gather experience, of some way that you made a difference in someone's life, or, something that sort of strikes you as that aha moment for you, one of them in your work?
Yeah, I think, when we hear stories from people about what they're dealing with and the impact, I know we got through actually a funder that really helped us. Michelle LeMay runs LeMay Family Good Works, I think it's called, her nonprofit. And we do a Thanksgiving distribution every year where we give out all the fixings, turkeys, stuffing, gravy, fresh potatoes and onions and squash and everything to make your Thanksgiving meal. And this year she decided that they were going to give out $50 gift cards to Market Basket, and a lot of them, 1,000 of them. So people coming through the line got all that, but then her family was handing out these gift cards to people. So if there was something else that they wanted to complete their meal, they could go and get it for themselves. And she forwarded something from a guy who had been doing fine. This is a little bit like what I was talking about. Had been doing fine, but suddenly had a lot of health issues. He couldn't work. He was struggling with his bills and stuff. And for the first time, had to access a place like Gather. And so he did come to our Thanksgiving distribution, was thrilled with the food and stuff. And then at the very end, he went to there. He didn't even know what was going to happen. And he, received the gift card or whatever, didn't know how much it was. When he realized how much it was, he was like, on top of all the food, which is a ton of food, to have that too, it just really felt like the community was supporting him. And so a shout out to Michelle and to our team, to Timberland, who volunteers and helps us access all the food for that. It takes a village, truly. And I think, you hear that impact as you go along, in the pantry, at the distributions, at the markets. You hear the stories, and it could be any of us. I think it's really important to remember that it could happen to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does take a village, and it's great. The outreach that your programs have really enables people to, be able to contribute to that. And also, when they are in need, have a place to go that they can get whatever they need and not feel uncomfortable with that,
That's what we're trying to do, support. And this community, the Seacoast community, has been amazing to gather too, just in terms of the support that we get from the community. Just an incredible place to be.
We're so grateful. We live in a really wonderful place.
Yes, agreed.
And I'm so grateful that you've taken the time to share all this with us. It's I know we could talk to you for hours, because you guys do so many good things, and we're grateful for everything that you do and the impact you make in our community. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's really great to have an opportunity to talk to both of you and to get the word out about what we do. So thank you.